How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. I'm here with my fiance.
They're mates.
This is, of course, a Black Lives Matter, All Cops Are Bastards and Trans Rights supporting channel. If you're not supporting that shit, get the fuck off this channel. And hey, we got a different kind of movie reaction coming out here. I don't normally do like standalone movie reactions, but we are because you have never seen Shaun of the Dead.
No, I did not realize that this was a big movie that a lot of people had seen.
Yeah, I definitely, I never even like questioned whether you had seen it or not. You have seen Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
You have not seen A World's End.
No.
As far as other Edgar Wright movies, you have seen Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
You have seen Baby Driver. Is there any other one?
There's definitely one other that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. And I don't think you've seen any of the other Simon Pegg and Nick Frost movies where they are like a duo together, but it's not an Edgar Wright movie. So yeah, that is where you stand. I have seen the whole trilogy. I've seen every Edgar Wright movie. I've seen a few other stuff that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost have done together, like Paul or whatever. So yeah, I'm more familiar with that. You're going into this blind.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into this shit. Let's go. If you want to see the full length, check it out in the description below. Just click it. It's picture in picture. It's already synced up. Just go watch it there. If you want to get early access, go to the Patreon. You can get early access for a movie ahead, a couple movies ahead. I don't know what I'm doing with this one. All right, we're here to discuss Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Take it away. What's your overall thoughts?
Boy, such a tight movie.
Probably the tightest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah. Like, the movie itself, pretty short, and it does not feel like there's a wasted beat in the entire thing.
No.
I'm just in awe.
Yeah. I can just say, like, from behind the scenes, this was the, like, Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg really wanted to do this movie. They got picked up by whatever the fuck studio it was or whatever.
Sure.
And then there was, like, way more money, but then they took it basically like, no, this is all you're getting.
Okay.
And instead of, like, you know, saying, like, okay, well, we're not going to do it then, they were like, all right, well, we're still going to fucking do it.
Damn.
Edgar Wright actually didn't, like, take on, he got a bunch of other jobs that, like, you know, people saying, like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? He kept saying, no, working on this thing. It wasn't, like, taking in any other money while, like, just plugging away at this. Wow. And it was the, like, Edgar Wright is this very new director and that, so nobody trusted him at all. So he really wanted to prove himself that he was able to, like, pull off something like this.
Right.
With the, like, so little amount of money they had and the extremely limited amount of time they had as well.
Right.
Like, the sequence of Shaun going to the convenience store, both sequences of, like, the whole long shot of him going there, pre-zombie apocalypse and during the apocalypse, both filmed on the same first day. That was the first day of shooting. First thing they ever filmed to, like, really show everybody, this is what I'm capable of. Trust me, we're gonna get this done.
That is wild.
Yeah. So it's apparent why it is extremely tight and extremely yeah, as you said, well paced.
Yeah.
It had to have been scripted to hell. It was storyboarded to hell and everything. I will say there's only 2 lines of improv in the entire movie.
Wait, really?
Which was just Shaun offering peanuts and one other line that I cannot remember. I'll look it up right now.
I'm surprised the peanuts thing was an improv thing. Since it came back, right?
Yeah, it came back. But yeah, that was improv actually.
Holy moly.
But yeah, everything else is extremely scripted, and it was not even like, you couldn't even deviate a little bit from the lines.
Right.
Because it had to have been exactly the line that was earlier in the movie and everything. Like, this movie is 100% just a line in the beginning of the movie, a line at the end of the movie. Just keep doing that throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Full circle movie. That's why everybody loves it.
Like, it was very apparent in the second half, but, like, even throughout the entire movie, there were so many moments where I was like, this must be a callback or something that will be called back on, but I can't imagine how.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that it's not like it's all being called back and played back upon in order of like reverse order or anything like that. Like, even stuff like one of the classic ones, You Got Red on You. It's like such a quick, like, it's first brought up and then it's brought up again with the blood very quickly afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, it does not take long for a lot of them to come back, and then other ones are like the Yvonne one of being like his old friend talking about like relationships in high school, and then Shaun saying like him and Liz are still together, and her saying that somebody made it, and like that's the line at the very end of the movie. A lot of stuff like that.
Yeah. the way in which like things are like set up and resolved really quickly, then set up and resolved very far apart, and then you have like 3 beats. Like Yvonne is a 3 beats in that you see her initially, then you see her like during the invasion as they are like during the apocalypse, as
like,
they cross each other, and at the very end, like there's so many things where like I can't tell whether it's done yet or not.
Yeah.
Shaun himself, really strong character. Like, usually not a big fan of the crap sack main character, but I think they've handled him really well. It is this mix of, like, I don't feel sorry for him in total, but there are a lot of, like, little parts of his life that I do feel really bad about.
Yeah. It's just kind of like this mundane sadness to it, where it's not overly... You're not supposed to, like... You're supposed to pity him a little bit, but you're not supposed to, like, you know... Nothing super bad is going on.
Yeah.
It's this very mundane sadness, which very fits for a very, like, you know, zombie apocalypse sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'm glad we didn't do the... this isn't really a zombie apocalypse thing specifically, but it's like a apocalyptic thing of the... This character's life cannot be fixed in any other way apart from an apocalypse.
Yeah.
I was really worried we were going to do the Shaun fixes his relationship and everything is markedly better after the zombie apocalypse. When, like, it's okay, but it is just sort of, like, mundanely okay at the end.
Yeah, it's a different kind of world than the one he was living in before.
Yeah.
It's really not a better world, and it's not like his life is better. His mom is dead, his best friend's a zombie, you know. It's not better, it's just different.
Yeah, and, like, he could have fixed his relationship in a less ridiculous way.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, like... more so the juxtaposition of these very mundane problems with this very not mundane situation going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is like the crux of the movie, you know? Handling your life while this insane background is happening.
Yeah, it is once the zombie apocalypse happens, like, the rules aren't completely different.
Yeah.
And the characters that do act like it is completely different are usually wrong.
Yeah.
Or it usually does not work out very well.
So, the improv thing. It was the whole, like, scene with the peanuts was improvised, and the scene of Ed talking about the people in the bar was improvised. Which, again, is crazy, because that stuff does come back and everything in major ways. Like, everybody that Ed talked about at the bar, we do see later in the movie.
Okay.
I can't remember where some of them were. Most notably, I remember, is the guy with the snakeskin boots, who was, like, the womanizer. Did you see him at all? When they were, like, going past the fences areas and everything like that, he was getting, like, his crotch eaten out by, like, a ton of zombies. And then the guy in the bar who owned the bar came back. The whole Winchester thing, like that. I wonder how much of that scene was improvised, because that's where the Winchester thing comes up. Or that's not where the Winchester comes up, but that's where the reason Ed thinks it is loaded comes up.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but the bar owner being in the mob and all that. So like. Yeah, I'm curious, you know, if that whole, like, the gun is loaded, why do you think it's called a Winchester, was there to be... I mean, it had to have been there to begin with, but I wonder what the reasoning for Ed believing that was. Or if it's just, it's a gun, I believe it's loaded.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's curious that those two things are improvised when they come back again.
Yeah, that is a perfect scene to improvise, because in universe, it is him, like, it rides the line of, are these things real, or is he just making all this stuff up in order to, you know, try and cheer Shaun up?
Yeah. Yeah. Ed is a very interesting character in the movie. Like, he is that the classic, like, stoner comedy character. You know, it's always funny to me when, like, this movie is definitely a stoner comedy, and the only thing stoner about it is the, like, Ed selling weed during the zombie apocalypse, or like them just smoking on the couch or whatever. But, like, it is very clearly still that spirit of, like, you know, especially stuff like Harold and Kumar. Ed is that, like, the classic, like, not Harold and Kumar, but more like other ones, the just really shitty, like, stoner character. Okay. But, like, there's no redemption. Ed has no real redemption arc. He has, like, nothing. He's just kind of, like, you know, I don't know, a friend that is... Shaun realizes is always dragging him down. You know, like, a lot of stuff people say is true. He keeps him around because he feels like he's better when he has him around, so that because he's worse and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, he can't let him go. It is somebody that, like, is truly the only one he can also be completely, you know, himself around. So it is like this, like, again, his world at the end is not better. It is just different. He's still keeping around this very toxic friend, and in a much different kind of toxic way now.
But Ed is fundamentally the same.
Yeah, like that is definitely the where to go from that? I mean, continuing from that, like the Ed being the same, like the whole the world doesn't change much. The difference between the zombies and the survivors is very little.
Yeah.
You know, but by the point of they can just go, and it's pretty much the same. The zombies aren't even going to be able to tell. There's the you know, if you're doing a zombie thing at all, you gotta be doing the zombies are consumers. Otherwise, it just becomes very othering and a very clear, like, you know, it's just pretty fucked up a lot of times. It can get pretty racist otherwise.
Like, are they just the people that are, like, okay to kill?
Yeah.
Or is there a purpose to them?
Yeah. And so, like, having, you know, your whatever zombie movie, video game, whatever, you know, having the allusion to the zombies being consumerism is what, you know, they all started as to begin with and everything. And yeah, like, this movie plays it off so well with the, like, we're seeing all these sequences of the people in, like, the stores just going about their movements and everything like that, and then we see it, like, so many shots of the, is this a zombie or is this just a person going about their normal life?
Yeah, like the first half of the movie is 90%. I don't know how far the the apocalypse has gone.
Yeah, like a lot. It's like, are these people bitten or are they just tired?
Yeah,
like there's so much of that, and then again at the end of the movie with the zombies being made into retail workers, and then all the like the game shows that we see at the beginning are then replaced with zombies. It's a very like. There's not new television after the zombies have happened. It's just the same shit that was before, but now it was zombies.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that, you know, message.
It's so good.
It's a great message. And this movie just plays it off so well with, like, so much of the fucking scenes of the you don't know if this is supposed to be a zombie or not. Especially with, like, the legs of characters is great.
Yeah.
And, like, Shaun's mom acting like a zombie almost the whole movie. Like, you know, that's kind of just her character is just the one who is always adrift and in the distance. Like, even after she gets bit, it's like the, okay, I think she's bit now, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But...
Or, like, with Shaun's stepdad, we don't know if he was ever bit, like...
Yeah.
It's implied, for sure. I mean, like, we know he was physically bitten, but we don't know if that was a zombie bite. It's, like, because when he turns, it's after the zombies, like, swarm all over him.
That's a good point. I never thought about that, but you know what? That is a good point.
He may have just been sick.
He may have just been sick. I mean, he ran under a cold tap.
I mean, Shaun's stepdad as a whole, like, the moment they dropped that he had been, you know, married to Shaun's mom for 37 years.
Yeah.
Like, that was such a hard rephrasement. That was such a big, like, went from not liking Shaun, but, like, okay, I kind of get it, whatever. If you know, your mom's old, you've had very little time to process this. 37 years.
Yeah. There's so much of it, like, we have one side of the story, and then a character drops a line, and it recontextualizes everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's a perfect example of the bar scene at the beginning, where, you know, Liz and Shaun are having this conversation, and they're shit-talking somebody, and they're like, oh, sorry, and they turn to the camera, shows them right next to them. A lot of great camera tricks like that.
Yeah.
Pete stuff in the bathroom.
Again, like, it is the only thing, it's the kind of thing you can only do in such a extremely tight movie. Because one variance, and it doesn't make sense anymore. And a lot of it is stuff where, like, it isn't meant to be, like, it's a trick for the audience, but it's not meant to be a trick at all in universe. It would feel really weird if you played it off as being a surprising moment.
Yeah.
Actually, I do want to ask.
Yeah.
The scene really early on where Ed is describing their nights. I'm certain that's supposed to be a metaphor for the rest of the movie, but I don't know for sure.
Right, okay, let me play this back. So, what Ed suggests they do when they're in the bar before they, like, well, I guess it is while the apocalypse is happening, but still, a Bloody Mary first thing.
Right.
The Mary in their yard, the girl. The lawn was Mary. Then it was a bite at the king's head, which I assume is Philip.
Okay, that makes sense.
A couple at the Little Princesses, which is Liz. Stagger back here, and bang, back at the bar for shots.
Okay, that is so on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, really appreciate the just stuff like that. There's so much like talking about the future stuff in the movie, foreshadowing future stuff in the movie in so many different ways. Like, it's not all the same.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of different tactics. Even just like stuff like a camera shot being one way in the beginning, and then that camera shot being that way in a entirely different place, entirely different scene, because the camera is still following this like transition or this whatever you're thinking about this scene from previously. Yeah, I appreciate, talking about more like the themes of the movies and everything like that. For a stoner comedy, for a rom-com, for a horror comedy, and for a lot of this sort of stuff, very, very little like sexualization between the characters at all. Like, it's all very just like romantic stuff, but not any like, it's all like immature sexual jokes and stuff like that. But there's they don't really sexualize the characters in any way. But then zombies being also a very metaphor for queerness and, the unusual, the different from the norm and everything like that. Very, very sexualized. Pete being naked, even stuff like the, younger zombies and everything like that, doing the very like gyrating movements and everything like that.
Okay.
It's a very like, it's very intentional of the sexualizing the zombies, not sexualizing the humans, making it this very like, feeling like this is this different thing that you don't want to be a part of, that Shaun is uncomfortable with, and they're all like avoiding. And I mean, most of the movie is this, struggling with this relationship between his girlfriend and this relationship with his friend, and like the whole like toxic masculinity thing of like the why can't you just have a relationship with your best friend without people acting like you're in a relationship, or blah blah blah, or like what's wrong with that in the first place. Like, it's this very like intermingling of the two, and this just like uncomfortableness with the self and everything. And like, and then at the end his best friend is a zombie, and keeps him in the closet, essentially, in the shed, and blah blah blah. It's a very, it's all pretty on the nose, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very on the nose while getting it past, a lot of people would say, I guess.
Yeah, like, one of the big downfalls of a lot of tightly written movies is you see the movie, and then if you are looking for it, you can then predict the entire rest of it. Or, you watch the first episodes of the series, and then you know the entire ending.
Yeah.
And I would say that's definitely not a Shaun of the Dead thing. Like, upon a first watch.
Oh, for sure. There's so much you get in retrospect. Like, I mean, Ed, like, only ever making sexual jokes about Shaun's mom, or about, like, young girls or whatever. Like, it's this very, like, again, immature, sort of like, they're still 13, making jokes about stuff they don't really understand or anything. There's that sort of, like, vibe to it, of, like, Ed is never joking about, someone viable for him, or someone, like, in a realistic scenario. It is always, like, a jab or a whatever, a joke. How do you feel about just the directing and the look of the movie, and like, knowing that this was done very, very quickly and done with a very low budget and everything like that? How does this feel, knowing this is essentially like a very amateur movie? I will also say this was essentially just an adaptation of a Spaced episode, an episode of Spaced, in which like Simon Pegg's character was like playing Resident Evil or something, and then woke up and it was a zombie apocalypse. And they were like, what if we did something like that, but a whole movie?
That's okay. Was not expecting that. But this does not have that like amateur feel to me. I think part of that is honestly just that, like, it is a 2004 movie. This is pre-Crank. Like, this is pre like digital cameras. Because it's got that film grain. It's got that like the directing being very intentional helps keep it from feeling amateurish. It feels very like not absurdly cinematic. Like, it doesn't have the big sweeping, like, I guess that is to its strength. Like, it isn't overly cinematic to the point where I'd be like, okay, so I'm expecting more out of it. But I never thought, like, oh, this feels like an art film.
I think that's the big thing. It, a lot of times, feels like it's right up on the line of, like, an art house film. But not quite there. It is really interesting. But there's still such a world's difference between, like, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. Like, world's difference when they have more budget and more like everything. I think the main thing that is interesting to me is, like, there's no effects over the movie at all, which is something I'm so used to for movies now. But, like, there's no filters. There's no effects over the screen. There's no shit that's bogging down the reality of this.
Yeah.
And so it makes it feel so much more real.
I can see that.
Because, like, it just feels like someone is just filming it happening a lot of times. Yeah. There's not, like, an arbitrary darkness over stuff as well. Like, that's something Hot Fuzz and World's End both have that, like, we're going to put some filters and some overly darkness on these scenes and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the editing problem of, if you can do it, you start to think, like, this might look better if it's a bit darker. Or, like, I wish I could just, like, color balance this a bit better.
But yeah, I appreciate that this did not, and yeah, the effects still hold up insanely well in this. There was no effect that I thought looked bad at all.
Yeah, I really expected that at some point in the movie I would look at the background and think, okay, so this is obviously a moment where they just had the street free for a second and they did it. But no, like, it always feels well dressed.
Yeah.
Like, it always feels either apocalyptic or it's a situation where you would not be able to tell, like, genuinely.
Yeah, I very much so appreciate that. Also, that is great. The promotion for the movie, they had like people dress up as zombies and go around town just like acting like zombies to add to like the like that's what the movie is about. Like you being like, what the fuck is going on? What the hell's up with that person?
Oh, that's so cool.
Have you ever seen the poster for Shaun of the Dead? By the way,
never.
Let me show you that. For those who have not seen it, it is Shaun pressed up against like the subway cars, or not, I guess it wouldn't be subway cars.
Yeah, it would be like a tram or a
tram. Like the red trams in England and all that. But yeah, it's him like pressed up against it with all the zombies. Also like pressed up against the glass and pressed up against him and everything like that. And yeah, that was like the promotional poster they used most often, and they used it on the trams themselves. Like they put it on it to where it looked like that was happening on the tram.
Oh, that's so clever.
Yeah. Fantastic design for a poster.
Yeah.
Really love it. I've seen so many other things have copied this since, but yeah, it has been great. It works on various things. Also, like you can put it on windows. It's like you can retrofit it. Like you can cut stuff out and put it onto other places.
That's so clever.
Yeah. There's also just been, by the way, while we're on this topic, there's been like spin-off comics, there's been like retelling comics and everything that go even deeper into this stuff, like how did Mary get into the garden? There's stuff like that. I can't believe how much like the MCU tie-in comics it feels like that's what it feels like to me. There's so much of them for this.
Has there been a Yvonne of the Dead?
I actually don't know. I'm not sure. There's been a couple of them, so I don't know.
Right.
Maybe.
Because that is definitely the one I would want to see.
Yeah.
Like, it's the kind of thing you don't need in the slightest. Like, seeing it would honestly make it worse in the movie, but in something that is fundamentally not the movie, I do want to see what was the more generic, like, zombie thing she did? Yeah. How did she get to the military?
It seemed to have worked much better, although maybe not. Maybe she was the only survivor at the end. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. How did you feel about our, like, side cast of the movie? Like, Pete or Diane and David.
Oh, right.
Liz as well. I feel like we haven't, like, talked much about Shaun and Liz's relationship.
I mean, for something that was kind of built as a romantic comedy, I would say, like, it's not that I wasn't into Liz, but rather I was really not into their relationship. Yeah. Because from the very start, it's very clear, like, this is bad.
Yeah, it feels like at the end, they like, well, we have to have them get together thing at the end. But I agree. I like Liz as a character. I think their relationship is not interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like their relationship. Like, I can see why they were in a relationship, because she is, like, the female Shaun, which is why, like, with the Yvonne group, it is, like, this, like, swapping of genders only for those two. Right. Whereas, like, everybody else is, just, like, a different version of the other person. You know what I'm saying?
Ed being replaced by a child in Yvonne's group was a very big, like...
Oh, yeah. He's just being replaced by a literal 13-year-old, essentially.
Like, there's no way there would be two people like Ed in all of London. It has to be a child.
Yeah. I love, like, Ed is, like, having someone be the, like, unabashed shithead in the movie of like he never, again, there's no redemption arc. He never really helps at all. There's no good thing he does. He continuously causes them almost all the problems in the movie. But yet it creates so many of the funniest scenes in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Well, I think my favorite scene is them outside the goddamn Winchester trying to get in, and him getting, like, it's the double thing of he is so crazy for answering this phone call and treating it so normally, and it's so crazy that the guy on the other end is acting like there's not a zombie apocalypse going on.
Oh my god.
It is, that's like the perfect joke for me. I love that joke so much.
I can't imagine picking up just to say, yes, I don't have anything, like I didn't have anything yesterday. Also, there's a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
I liked Diane David well enough. Like, I thought Diane was actually really cool. I'm really glad that she got to do the, like, I'm an amateur actress and I'm going to teach you all how to do the zombie thing. It felt like the biggest, like, in the same way that Ed had the, I really want to drive the car, and then he was bad at it, and he continued to just be extremely bad at it. I thought we were setting up for a simple joke of they try to act like zombies and get mobbed and run away. I was 100% not expecting it to work. I wasn't expecting her advice to be as good as it was.
Yeah, very good advice. Like, she was not bad.
Yeah. The joke was just that it was working.
Yeah.
Not that she was bad.
Yeah. Like, I do love that too, because it is like, that comes before, like, The Walking Dead, which is the primary, we're going to cover ourselves in, like, zombie guts and walk through, you know, crowds of zombies doing that. Other stuff have done that too, but I would say Walking Dead is the thing that everybody knows, and so this came before that.
Right.
And it's like making fun of that still.
It makes a lot of sense with the, like, heavy, like, this is a stand-in for consumer culture. Like, as long as you don't show your individuality, you are indistinguishable.
Oh, yeah. Very, very... Yeah, very on the nose.
Plus, it just works with the fact that there are no unstated rules of zombies in the movie. It is always either they state it directly, or it is ambiguous until it is proven. Like, I don't know why this would work like this.
Yeah, I have no idea, but...
Yeah, like, as long as you establish the rule and you don't contradict yourself, I'm fine with basically any rule.
Same. Yeah, as long as you're not contradicting it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to also speak on the zombies for, like, trivia and stuff like that. They paid the zombies fucking nothing at all. But they got so many because they got fans of Spaced to come be zombies.
I see.
And then like a couple people were paid as, like, extras, and they also just got a bunch of their friends to come do it. Also, almost everybody in the movie was just their friends. You know, very few people were not. Like, Martin Freeman seems like one of the only named people here. Which I also cannot... I did not realize that Martin Freeman was in all of the fucking, like, Cornetto trilogy, apparently. As, like, very small roles, but, I mean, more or less. Did he even get a speaking line in this role?
I do not remember.
I think he was mute the entire time. But either way, they also got, like, while they were doing this, all the kids around the neighborhood were like, oh, that looks fun. And so they had a ton of kid zombies just because all the kids wanted to come help. And so they had tons of people that were there.
That's so cool.
And because they while they were inside filming all the scenes in the Winchester, even though they didn't need them, they had all the zombies outside banging on the windows and everything the whole time. So when the zombies finally got to do shit in the scene, they were, like, really chomping at the bit, like, finally, let's do it.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So, and yet they're, like, the slowest zombies of any movie in the world.
Oh, yeah. The speed of the zombies is very inconsistent.
Extremely. I mean, they're never fast. They are at most slow.
Yeah.
But
they go from slow to glacial.
Yeah. They go from slow to sometimes literally just standing there.
Sometimes there's a hole, and they look at it, and they don't go through it.
But yeah, I actually really like that more so for the consumer aspect of, like, they're not, they want these brains, but they're not that, they don't care that much. It's just more just, like, thing they're doing rather than this thing that they feel that they are, like, needing to get. Like, they don't have that ferociousness of any other zombie movie. And I think that fits.
Yeah, because also our main characters have the double debuff of not having, like, guns and stuff. Like, they don't have anything very lethal, and then also they don't understand what is and isn't lethal.
Yeah.
Like, throughout the movie, we have the, like, we're just gonna throw, like, wiffle balls at them. Like, we think this is gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like that helps this movie a lot. Of the just like they never grab a weapon that is useful aside from like the cricket bat and the shovel,
Sure.
which is rarely used to look cool. Like anytime Shaun hits somebody with the cricket bat, it is the lamest looking thing ever. It takes him down, but it looks so light and like nothing. But yeah, like on the posters, it can look like a cool weapon. Yeah. Also, like having the the red tie that he then ties around his head from not an injury that he gets fighting zombies. I mean, technically an injury he gets fighting zombies, but it was just a dart to the head.
Right.
It's like, that's why you had to wear this fucking headband to look like a Rambo. There's all that, like, there's a lot of effort into making Shaun look extremely badass on the poster, but then when you see what that is in the movie, it's a lot. It's like, oh, it was all extremely lame.
Yeah.
I really like that aesthetic.
Like, the fact that they had enormous hordes of zombies when they were finally capable of using the Winchester, and yet they had like 2 or 3 shots that actually hit.
I don't even know about that. Well, sure, they had like 2 shots that hit the zombies.
Sure.
I think he only hit a zombie in the head once. I'm pretty sure he only killed 1 zombie with the gun.
Yeah.
And yet the bullets on the table, I think, killed like 3.
Yeah. I was really glad that they tried the Molotov thing and it just did not work at all, because I was very concerned as to how they were going to make that work.
Yeah.
Because that tends to be you do that on like a horde that is not next to you.
Yeah, not in a building.
in the only building you have for shelter.
Oh, yeah, just every time they get into any situation, and Ed's immediate suggestion always just being the worst thing you could possibly do. We finally got to the Winchester. What do? Light it on fire. But yeah, that Molotov thing, kind of weird. That's where he just like sets it down, and then nothing ever happens with that Molotov.
I think he threw it.
No, because he was like holding it, and then he gets grabbed by the zombie, and he can't throw it.
Okay.
And I mean, he doesn't put it down, but like he just gets mugged by the zombie, and that's the last time I see him is when he gets bitten holding the Molotov.
I thought he threw it, but it was unlit.
No, because he dunks it, then he lights it, and then he's going over there with it.
Oh.
Yeah, because it was lit.
Okay.
I think out of the whole movie, like Simon Pegg is a fantastic actor, great actor. I think his stepdad was the best actor in the movie. Though.
Oh yeah,
like amazing acting from start to finish, from the like dying to just the very beginning of the movie where he comes in and he has such asshole energy.
Yeah. Despite
everything he's saying is perfectly reasonable. It's just the way he says it.
Yeah.
It's very similar to like I don't think that we're going for this or anything. I don't think there actually is a connection. Okay. But like David, being like a lot of what he says isn't wrong. It's how he says it and why he says it.
Right.
That is what pisses everybody off.
Yeah.
And that is also why he can never see why everybody's so mad at him, because nobody's mad at what he's saying. They're mad at the context of what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate both of them for like being good people, but have like it being very understandable why you would be hated.
Yeah. And
I really appreciate like counter to that, like Shaun's protagonist energy, in that he's not that smart. He's not like better than Ed when it comes to like figuring out how to navigate this apocalypse.
Yeah.
His plan is not great, and we get to see the flip where like they go to the Winchester, then he manages to get back, and like that is the last moment where he feels like extra protagonisty, because then we do the flip to okay, so he didn't have a plan, and also he did bring the zombies here.
Yeah.
Like it is the perfect like midpoint moment of he does actually feel kind of badass, when he runs away. Because that also makes you think like, okay, maybe the bar is a better place, and they don't know about the back door, they don't know other stuff about it. It's like maybe this is a better stronghold than everyone else thinks it is.
Yeah, but he never he has great plans, but he doesn't execute them well.
Yeah,
because there's always something that's gonna go wrong. Because they're very simple plans, to be fair. But he is good at coming up with plans on the fly. So it is that, like, double, like, Shaun, like, we're not following Shaun because we think that he has, like, a great plan. We're following him because he has the best plan.
Yeah.
And, like, going into the protagonist energy, he has an extremely strong silhouette, as opposed to everybody else in the movie.
Yeah.
With his colors and everything. So yeah, it's just like as an audience member, you also have that going for him, where he stands out amongst them all.
But yeah, like relating to him, I like David as having the like false protagonist energy. Like he's always a step behind, and there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah,
it's just he's a step behind. And then Shaun is like a step behind the average zombie protagonist.
Yeah, so yeah, but we've I mean we haven't really talked about it, but like you know, it's just the whole like idea of the movie being a like stoner comedy where a zombie apocalypse happens in the middle of it. This idea of like two people who just like are out of the loop and don't really know what's going on. That like sort of like, you know, it's happened to everybody where you just don't pay attention to the news for a while and then you check the news and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
How did this get so bad?
Yeah, like specifically this was like inspired by Edgar Wright like working on some project, and then he wasn't really paying attention to the news for a while, and then he turned on the news and just saw like cows were being burned and farms were being torched to the ground or anything like that during the I truly don't know why it's called this, but the foot and mouth disease that ravaged England. For like they handled it very, very quickly, but like tons and tons of livestock and farms had to be destroyed because of it.
Not familiar.
But yeah, I was not familiar with it either, especially with the name is a very like, I don't know what the point. I'm not sure. I gotta look more into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he just like turned on the TV and saw that going on. I was like, what the fuck is it? Like, it looked like an apocalypse was going on. And so like, you know, it gave him that idea of like we've all had this happen to us with like news sort of stuff, but this felt like this could happen if this was an apocalypse and I just didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah.
Because like, how in the hell did I not hear about this? Like, this is so big. And so like, yeah, that was the idea of like, throughout the whole beginning of the movie, they just keep like, Shaun keeps missing this stuff or just not really paying attention to it. Like, he'll hear stuff that is like, it'll basically just say exactly what's going on, but he just, you know, doesn't pay attention to it because the whole 24-hour news cycle just, you know, it's just constant. And so like, yeah, so many people just are not paying attention or care about what's going on.
Yeah, I really love the vibe of the entire first half.
Yeah. And like we're never going to give you an answer for how the zombie apocalypse happens. We're going to give you 1,000 answers for how it could have happened. And the only one we're going to say definitively it didn't was the monkeys from 28 Days Later. It's like, no, that was not it. No fast zombies. But yeah, I love all the various different ways that it could have happened. Even like the stuff like the zombie being in the field about to eat the birds. Maybe just a homeless person about to eat birds. Unclear. And then they just disappear. Like, that's the most like, what?
What is the implication of this?
Yeah. There's so much just like horror foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's not for anything specific. Like, there's even like the bathroom mirror stuff, which is not a zombie thing at all. That's a like serial killer thing.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much of that, of just like foreshadowing horror. I don't really have anything to say about it, but I really love the characterization and just the way it's filmed and everything like that of the scene of Shaun and Ed like staying up super late, like 4 a.m. playing all the records and everything like that. Pete going in and screaming at them. All that set up too. Like I really love the after that Shaun, like in this extremely drunken state, stumbling his way downstairs through the house, grabbing a marker, writing down on the board, you know, talk to Liz, get Liz back, put life together, talk to mom, and then just passing out right there. But like it, like literally being like as he puts the dot is like him passing out.
Yeah.
Is the like it really shows that he was taking it seriously. You know, and I really like that scene.
Yeah, it gives him a lot of like strength of conviction.
Yeah.
Like, I really like the middle space he is in that he does, like, care about Liz, but at the same time, he doesn't care quite enough to make the reservation until the last moment. And that is his, like, you know, his entitlement, his feeling of, well, I can definitely do it later. Right? It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or, like, I can fix this later. Or, like, I can talk to Ed and he can, you know, get a little better at this later. As opposed to, you gotta do it now or else it's not gonna get better in a few minutes, a few weeks, a few months, a few years.
Just procrastinating. Yeah. And I have the same problem. It's a very relatable problem. You know, you just keep putting stuff off because it's not like you're being mean. You think that you can do it later, but you can't.
Yeah. That's kind of all I've got.
I think that's all I got too.
All right, it's cool.
We covered it all. fantastic movie.
Oh,
fucking love it. Glad we got to watch it again. Glad I got to watch it with you for the first time.
Glad I got to watch it for the first time. I didn't dislike anything going into it. It was really just I knew it was a zombie movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to check it out.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think a lot of also I will say this came out 4 weeks before the remake of Dawn of the Dead, by the way.
Oh wow.
So it was
Damn.
One of those it's planned to come out around the same time and take some of that publicity and everything.
Very high risk, high reward move.
Yeah. Because it's not really much, it is a very, very high parody movie, but it's not a parody of Dawn of the Dead at all. But yeah, it is definitely, way better of a zombie movie than the remake of Dawn of the Dead, to be fair. One other last bit of trivia. In Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, there was a poster for Shaun of the Dead 2. Or it wasn't Shaun of the Dead 2, it was From Dusk Till Shaun, which was not one of the George Romero movies. Also, you've not seen From Dusk Till Dawn, right? No. We're gonna watch From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
We're also gonna do that at some point.
Okay.
Gotta do that at some point. But he actually he sat down or he asked Edgar Wright, the director of Spider-Verse, or I believe it was the director, might have been somebody else. Asked Edgar Wright, hey, what are some movies you might have done in an alternate universe? And he was like, well, we've talked about doing a Shaun of the Dead 2 and calling it From Dusk Till Shaun.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah. I hope they never do a Shaun of the Dead 2, though. Let me go here. I hope they never do one. We're fine with just one. I don't want a sequel to any of the Cornetto trilogy. I would just be fine with another one in the Cornetto trilogy.
Speaking of,
yeah,
what is the Cornetto trilogy? I know the name. I've heard the name before.
I mean, it is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End.
Sure.
But you mean, why is it called that? So in this movie, when Shaun goes to the convenience store, Ed says, "Can you pick me up some Cornetto?" Okay. And then he eats some Cornetto.
Right.
In Hot Fuzz, I don't remember what it is in Hot Fuzz, actually.
I assume the same thing.
Yeah, but I don't remember the scene or whatever. And then in World's End, there was a scene. Yeah, I want to check. So it is just movies that are, the director is Edgar Wright and the two main actors are Sean Pegg and Nick Frost. Okay. I was like, has there been another movie where that's been the case, but it's not a part of the Cornetto trilogy? But no. There's been other movies where Nick Frost and Simon Pegg have been together. There's been other movies where Edgar Wright has directed and the connections between them. But yeah, with all three of them is what that trilogy is.
Okay, it's a thematic trilogy, yeah?
It's a thematic trilogy. It's a very loose trilogy.
Yeah.
It's just these three movies go together very well. Like Cornetto. There's other... it could be the fucking Finch trilogy, you know? It could be that. There's many things. It could be the Barr trilogy. There's so many other things that they could have said, but Cornetto is the one that it is, you know? Anyway. We'll see you guys for probably just World's End. I don't think we're actually going to do Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, because we've both seen it.
We've both seen it, and we might rewatch it, but not going to do a reaction to it.
Sure.
So, see you guys for World's End.